Hi, good morning. It's Freemotion Fridays with Kate Quinn of Fabricated Quilts. And if you remember last week, we did this design. I'll show it to you real quick. And this was D for direction. So you can see that we have these lines going this way, and then we have a very intentional change of direction here, which gives a lot of visual interest to the shape that we have. And that's something you can do with anything. You can do it with rectangles, squares. It works well with circles. Hi, Judy. Good morning. So today I thought that we would do R. So our mnemonic is drafts, and that's because we're always designing and drafting ideas for our quilts. And I thought that would be a good opportunity for you to use that as a step off when you're thinking about your designs. So R is for regulate. Now, I want to make sure that we're clarifying that that is not stitch regulation, although that's an important part of working on any free motion. When we're talking about regulation, what we're talking about is regulating the size of the stitch, the look of the stitch. So I've got a few lines right here, and we're going to use a very, very simple design. Let me see if I can get us up top a little bit more so we can see a little better. So for this, I've just made these different columns right here, and I didn't use a ruler. This is just visually marked because I want you to visually mark when you're sewing. I don't want you to have to always have perfect look. So these lines, I just tried to space them about a 1/2 inch apart. And the design that we're going to do today is very, very simple. It's not a complicated design. But the reason that I'm choosing these simple designs is I want you to build up your repertoire and then start adding. So we're going to start, for the next few weeks, we're going to keep to very simple designs, but we're going to show you how to make them more interesting and more complex just by how you apply them. So the first one is here at the top of the line. As you go up, your lobe, your loop is going to go around this line, right? And you're going to aim for the middle here as you pop back up. Like that. And you're trying to make it, nice and rhythmic. Work on trying to keep these somewhat similar. You're aiming to go out the same distance on this side as you come back. And if you guys remember from your handwriting days, we all have variations in our handwriting. That happens. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So we'll actually sew this, but I just want to show you, this is the first design. So we are regulating it by height. We're regulating it by spacing. It's very regular. It's very even as much as we are capable of controlling it. And the way to practice this is to make different widths, like a line that's fatter or skinnier or even skinnier, and just sew over it again and again and again. And you could use different colors. The first time, use a light color, and then use a darker color, and then a darker color and a darker color. And that way you're not wasting tons and tons of fabric. You are still just trying to get this. And another way that you can practice, and people don't think about this, but it's really valuable. Take a piece of paper that you've printed with the design like this, with the loop design that you like. Take a piece of paper and don't have any thread in your machine and stitch over the lines on that paper, because if you print something that's very regular, then that's going to help you visually control the movement because you're following the line. And that also is a very valuable skill, because what it does is it gives you the rhythm of the movement, the up and down movement, so that, I think a lot of times people say practice, practice, practice. But if you're practicing wrong, and that has a lot of variation in there, but, we have coaches for our kids. We have a tennis, instructor. We have teachers in the classroom, and they're guiding us to a more precise answer or to a more perfect design or to a better look. So having something that's already printed with the correct spacing, with the correct look that you like, is a way for you to move yourself towards that more effectively. Because if I just keep doing it, but I never get the motion of what I want, then I'm just practicing what I don't want. So let's go ahead and talk about one other thing. So right now my foot is up, and if I pull the thread, you can see I can just pull it right out. Okay, super easy. There's no tension. So I'll lower the foot, and I want to pull this thread just towards me very gently. Oh, it won't go. It's really tight. Sometimes when you're working with free motion, tension is always the thing that we have to think about. If you just put it under your free motion foot, put the thread under, and then just pull it towards you, right away you can immediately tell, do I have tension on my thread or do I not? And if the thread just comes right towards you quickly, automatically you probably are going to have to make an adjustment to that in order to have that initial tension. Because if your thread is so loose when the foot is down, you already are going to have some stitch problems. So right here, you're just previewing, am I going to have some good stitch control? And you can pull on the bobbin too. If the bobbin just pulls right out, then it's probably not in that tension track. And then you can check that before you even start sewing. And that forestalls problems right from the get-go. So let's go ahead. We'll just start here on our little line. Let's see, where's my bobbin? He's hiding. So I'm going to say one more time, I never recommend using your thread cutter if you're free motioning on your domestic, because so often it just pops your bobbin into such a short area that then it becomes impossible for you to pick it up. And whenever you're free motioning, you want that bobbin on the top because you want to be able to control where your thread is so that you're not going to be stitching over it a million times whenever you have it on the bottom of your sandwich. All right, so hopefully we can pull it up this time. So I'll just sweep this under there and get that up. I think he's stuck under my glider. There he is. Okay, here we go. So as I said, and I will practice just like I told you, making sure that you're going to pick up that thread, making sure that you have it on the top. You need that bobbin where you can see what's happening. It's never ever good to leave it on the bottom. It just ends up getting stitched through a bunch of times. Okay, so here's my next tip for you. Start your engine first before you move, because what happens right now, if I push on this and I put this under tension and then I start my engine, right away the sandwich is going to shoot right out under the needle. As soon as the needle's not pinning it and I'm pushing it, it's just going to go shoop, and you'll get a nice long stitch right at the beginning. So just take that extra stitch right there. Let's move this so you can see what we're doing a little better. Start your engine, right? It'll only take 1 or 2 stitches. It's okay. And then you're going to work on a nice smooth loop right there. Just work on making it nice and smooth. Aim. Look out in front of you. Look out in front of the top of that line. And think a little bit ahead about, okay, I've got to curve it. Okay, because we can't go up to the line and then be like, oh, now I can curve. You have to think about the curve in advance. Otherwise, you're going to get a flat top. Okay, so right away, think about a nice, smooth loop. Okay, my hands are nice and flat. They're even. I'm not trying to pull. Sometimes if your sandwich is heavier, it's okay to grip a little like this. And I just finger pinch it like this to give me a little bit more strength as I'm holding on to it. So on the next row, let me show you what we have here. I have 2 lines that are closer together. So now we're going to make it a little less regular. We're going to create a little pattern for ourselves. So now I have to think about making 2 loops, and then there's a stretch in this loop to get to the next one. So let's start here at the bottom, I guess. So now we're making them tighter together. So I have to control that, and then I have to stretch. Control the double loop and stretch. Okay, so there's 2 of them. If you need to stop right there where the loop crosses right there, that is a good place to stop. You never want to stop in the middle of a curve or an arc if you can. So like right here, we wouldn't want to stop in the middle because that would look choppy. And right here, this is a small arc, and that would also look choppy. Right where they intersect right there, we can hide it because there's a lot of crossover happening. So if there's a little hiccup there, that's the least visible spot right there. So right here where we just crossed over, now we're going to go ahead and think about making our arc. To get this one, start my engine and arc over. So try not to reposition your hands on the fly. As I said, if you're getting uncomfortable and you need a reposition, stop in that safe spot, kind of manipulate your sandwich, get all things in order, and then when you're ready, then you're ready to go ahead and make that adjustment for your next piece. Ooh, swung out a little bit too far there. But that's okay, don't worry about it. The more that we quilt it, the more nobody will notice. Okay, so here's our designs, just to let you kind of see them up close. So this just by regulating the spacing here and having a little stretch, we just create a little visual detail that is different than this. This is very regular. Your eye's just going to gloss right over it. But this is like motion, space, motion, space, motion, space. Oh, wait, what's going on there? We have to look at that. Okay, so now that we've talked about how to make the loop, how to breast, how to continue, how to space it and regulate it, let's take it over to our triangle and put it on the triangle and play with it. All right. Now I'm going to share just a little fun. So we did some channels before, and our channels were straight. So now we're going to regulate it a little differently. So I'm just going to real quick just make a very gentle arc that kind of swings down. And I'm just going to vaguely sort of echo that a little bit. So I'm trying to keep about the same spacing, but I'm not too worried if it's not correct or anything like that. It's fine. And then we'll do one more here. And on this one, we're going to kind of, let's see, we want to swing up a little bit more on this one. So this one would be where we could do the same regulation, but now it's a little bit curvy. So the lines would still be helpful. The lines help us to make sure that we keep the design this way as we go, instead of kind of going like, oh, crooked, crooked. And let's see, this is a little wonky, but we'll fix him a little bit. And then I'm going to do one other thing. Here, let's make a little regulation space to separate our design. Now, these arcs that I'm making, if you have a curvy ruler, or an arc, you could easily control this shape and make it very regular. I'm just not too worried about it right now. So let's start with this one. So we've already done these styles, but I want to show you how we can really make this more exciting here by stretching. So the regulation that we're going to be doing for this design is we're going to lengthen our design. Okay, now that is a little bit more complicated. So that takes you practicing that maybe before you start. So I would tack this off at this point. If I was going to stitch these, I would probably already stitch them first. But we're just going to show you the Freemotion design. So I'll put a little tacking stitch here just to make sure this is secure. Okay, so come up. Try not to go too fast here because we're going to need to plan our movement here. Nice and long. Now, this is a really, really long, stretchy thing. So the key is down at the bottom. You have to be looking all the way up here and thinking, how much of a loop, how wide of a swing am I going to try to have? Because we don't want him to be super fat in comparison to the other guys. So he's going to have to kind of start dropping right up to the top pretty quickly. I like this shape because this is something lots of people can do without a lot of worry, you know. But right now, just by regulating the length here, we have emphasized this triangle shape. We have pushed these up into this narrow space, but we haven't like shortened them up or anything. We've actually elongated them, which kind of stretches this design, which will emphasize this triangle. And then, so I'll finish this. I'll find, you know, whatever shape I can that'll nicely echo this. And then I'll put an echo in just like this and maybe do some little detail fill here. And here, if I put the echo on the bottom, little tiny E's would fit right down here in the bottom. So let's see if we can get ourselves over there. I'll make a little space. I like the echo because I want the designs to be separated from one another. I don't want them to be on top of each other. So I don't want the E's here to blend in here, so I'm going to make a little gap for each of those. Okay, so we'll just get ourselves over here. And so we'll make these, this is like 1/2 inch. Maybe we'll make these a little smaller because this is a small space. So we'll kind of make these a little bit tighter. All right, and these will look a little bit more like an E. And notice if I was doing an E, I would go that way, right? So we're kind of going backwards. So we need to think about, you know, don't think about it as a letter. So it's a little shorter, it's a little flatter, and it's a backwards. So I think sometimes if we think about it like a letter, we can make it a little more challenging for ourselves because then we can't go backwards. But you can see those are a little more squat. Ooh, totally did not get into my space, but you know what I'll do? Here, we'll do one more and then we'll be done with our design for today. Bump into each space. And your foot can help you, your ruler foot kind of helps you get that. All right, let's go ahead. I'll show you. We'll tack off. Lift up your needle, and you're going to pull your sandwich away to lengthen your bobbin. So now my bobbin is that long too. Hold that. I'm going to line up the needle. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it'll pick it up now that I double tacked it. All right, and then we'll cut that off. So that brings the bobbin thread up to the top. And I'll show you right there. We stitched a few movement stitches. And you can see that, you know, it looks fine. It's nice and clean. It's tacked right in the stitch line. The key to making this look good is making sure that you move ever so slowly. You can't stitch in the same spot or the knots will stack on top of one another. So just make sure you're moving. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just look through here. Hi, Patty Holly, my partner in crime. Quinn, so nice to see you. Hi, Miss Wendy. Hi, Marie. Marie, I got your message and I will be responding to you soon. Hi, Ann. Hi, Nana. Hi, Barb. Thanks you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and post it. The concept for Freemotion Fridays is to keep it short and sweet and just give you a little inspiration. So this was R for regulation, and regulation is regulating height, regulating size, regulating spacing, and regulating the shape here. We elongated this. So D was for direction, and R is for regulation. So next week, I can't remember what A is right now. My brain is tired. I haven't had coffee yet, but I have another concept for that, and I think A is for accentuating the shape. So if we have a triangle, how do we use a design that will in fact emphasize the shape that already exists? Or if we have a circle, how do we accent the shape that's already there? So I'll be posting this also on YouTube if you have friends that are not on Facebook, but you think they would be interested. Please go ahead and share this with anybody that you feel might value it. And I hope that you guys have a great day, and I will see you on Sunday for our So Steady Facebook Lives. Those are 3 o'clock at Mountain Standard Time in the US. So, all right, guys, thanks. Have a good morning. Have a great day. Bye-bye.